Hello and welcome to episode 34 of the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast. On this jam-packed episode, Hayley and I discussed a lot. We talked about proceedings in the magistrates court. In our commercial awareness corner, we discussed the change in the Bank of England base rate and its potential implications. We answered a question from you all about how Hayley and I chose our particular areas of law. And for those of you that have been on LinkedIn this week, you will have noticed that Hayley and I went viral. We did a post all about our engagement. So we gave you the inside scoop on that. So it was a fun episode. We enjoyed recording it. We hope you enjoy listening. Welcome to the podcast. We are live.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast. And we're on episode 34, aren't we, Hayley?
34. Your age.
My age, no less. I could have dedicated this episode to myself, couldn't I?
You could have, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a shame you're far too selfless for that.
What can I say? I mean, I'm just too... What's the word? You know, I'm just... Humble, is that the word?
Oh, humble, yeah.
Everyone on LinkedIn loves the word... I was humbled. I was humbled to do this. I'm so humbled. But yeah, I'm... What can I say? I'm a humble guy, so I won't name the episode after myself. But we do like to name our episodes. Mm-hmm. We generally go for Formula 1 drivers. But, Hayley, there are no Formula 1 drivers that have used number 34 on the current system.
Oh, darn.
Shucks. So... that means that in the circumstances, we're going to revert to other sports.
Okay.
So we've used football a bit. Obviously, neither you or I are big football fans. And footballers don't tend to really go that high anyway. They do these days occasionally, but yeah, I can't really think of anyone. So I did a little bit of a search online. And there were lots of names that came up. Probably names who are very big in sports, and they tended to be American names, but given that I don't really follow American sports, didn't really know them.
We need to name after someone that one of us have heard of.
There's one that we've heard of.
Ooh, okay.
It's a big name. He's a bit of a larger-than-life character.
Mm-hmm.
So to give you some hints, he's a basketball player.
Yep.
He owns... he's very big into his business, so he owns lots of fast food chains. He owns lots of, franchises, lots of car washes. He has a trainer line, but he's not Michael Jordan.
Oh, I was going to say Michael Jordan.
No, he's makes. Do you know what? Fair play to the man. Makes very affordable trainers, which I think is very, very commendable actually, because his target market is sort of children, things like that. So, kudos to this man for his approach there.
Who is it? Larger than life.
You will have seen him on a lot of TV shows. He's
he massive?
He is huge. Got to be well over 7 foot, this guy, I reckon.
Oh, I know who it is.
He likes his Formula 1 as well, actually, so you see him at some of the Formula 1 races.
Is it, what's his name?
Do you want me to tell you?
Go on.
It is Mr. Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq. Oh, yes, I knew that.
So Shaq. I mean, as I say, I'm not big onto American sports, but, I know about Shaq. And, so he played for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think he played for Miami Heat for a bit. Probably it might be another team in there, and people are thinking, John, he also played for the... I was going to make up a name. I can't think of something.
He might play for someone else. We don't know.
Yeah, but they're the two big teams I know of that he played for. But yeah, very good player by all accounts. So it's only fitting that we name this episode 34 the Shaq Special.
Welcome.
So if you're new here, what we talk about on this episode varies all the time. But as a general rule, we talk a bit of law. So Hayley and I, we are both lawyers. Hayley's a solicitor. I'm a barrister. So we like to talk about our experience. We like to talk about things that go on in the law. We have our Learning the Law segment. We have our Commercial Awareness Corner. We give tips for people. We answer your questions. We talk about what's new at speed mooting. But with a break from tradition, we're talking about something completely different, completely out of the realm of the ordinary this week, aren't we, Hayley?
Indeed. It's only fitting that we share other big news with our podcast audience, because a lot of you know us quite well, and even if we've never met, you might be listening to us week in, week out, so we thought this would be nice.
Yeah, you feel like you know us because you think about it with a podcast. When you think about it, when you listen to a podcast, you sit there, you listen on your own. So it's almost like we're having a conversation with you. So, I think our audience feel like they know us quite well. And to be fair, we know quite a lot of our audience well as well, don't we? So, yeah, it's big news to share.
Big news. So if you follow us on LinkedIn or any of our social medias, you may already know this because we're kind of going viral.
We are, aren't we? I mean, we literally did a post yesterday, so a little over 24 hours ago. It's already had 1,700 likes.
Insane.
I mean, insane. It's crazy.
I think we've responded to every comment as well, so thank you so much to everyone.
Oh, lovely comments. Thank you very much.
The love. So, if you don't know, John and I are not only podcast hosts, we don't only run a business together, we're also a couple.
That we are.
Been with each other quite some time now.
Some time.
So, John thought it would be fitting this weekend to upgrade me from girlfriend to fiance.
Look at that thing. Look at it shining.
Boom, boom, boom.
Take it in, Hold it in front of the camera there, Hayley. What we are seeing there is a solid 18 carat yellow. Hold it in front of the thing as I'm explaining.
I like to look at it. Sorry, I like to look at it myself as well, but there we go, audience.
But what we're looking at there, so it's a solid 18 carat yellow band, and the diamond itself, I believe, is a solitaire, is it not, Hayley?
That is a solitaire.
What shape have we gone for?
This is an oval.
It's an oval.
Hidden
halo with gold claws holding it in place, isn't it? Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
He did very, very well. Knows my taste.
Certainly do. I think it might be nice at this point just to educate the audience a little bit, because I learned so much about diamonds, and I'd just like a minute or two just to share my knowledge. This knowledge is in my brain now. I feel like I need to share the wealth. So going into this, I knew nothing about diamonds, and obviously we've all heard of carats, and I kind of had heard of them, and you just naturally think, well, bigger the carat, better the diamond. Doesn't necessarily mean that, actually. So you've got 4 C's you need to take into account. You've got cut, clarity, colour, and carat. So starting with your cut, that's your most important, because that's what allows the light to effectively refract in. And so your cut looks at how deep the diamond goes, the angle of the cut at the top, etc. And it's kind of the Goldilocks effect. So you don't want to go too shallow, you don't want to go too deep. It's got to be somewhere nice in the middle to get that correct refraction.
I love that, the Goldilocks effect.
Yeah. Not too deep, not too shallow, right in the middle. You've then got your colour, okay? So it's on a sliding scale. So long and short, the earlier the letter in the alphabet, the better the colour. So Z is the least desirable colour. So we're working down. So what would be the best colour, would you say, Hayley?
A?
You would think so, but you are wrong.
Oh.
D.
Okay.
They stopped at D for some reason.
Maybe they thought they were going to get even better, and then they're like...
Maybe they thought, they were going, they're working their way, and they go, oh, we need 3 colours, but no, they didn't get it. So long and short, so if you're at the lower end of the scale, I need to move my hands this way so people can see it.
Yep.
Lower end of the scale, a Z, it's a very yellowy colour. The top end of the scale, a D, is colourless, very white.
Yeah.
And the less colour in the diamond, the better it is. The more colour that comes out of it.
Wow.
So we're at the top end of the scale there. You can see it's very clear, very white. The diamond there. Then you've got your clarity, and that looks at imperfections. So a diamond always has sort of like birthmarks, imperfections, things of that nature. And once again, they've got acronyms and scales.
Yeah.
And it goes from a sort of F, which is flawless, all the way down to sort of, I think it's an I3, which means imperfections visible to the human eye. So once again, you're looking for as few imperfections as possible. And if there's no imperfections, then it's flawless. And then that brings you on to carat. And carat is simply the weight of the diamond. That's all it measures, just the weight of the diamond. So naturally, the higher the carat, the bigger the diamond.
But it doesn't always mean that it's
a better diamond, because you could have, a quarter of a carat which has got, fantastic colour, really great cut, really high clarity, and you put it next to a 4 carat diamond, but it could be really dull, loads of imperfections. So although it's a bigger diamond, your smaller one with higher quality, superior cut, etc. is what you want. So just thought I'd share that on. Wow. Oh, and there is a 5th C as well, which is certification.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure you get your certificate. That's how you ensure it. So we made sure we got the certificate with that bad boy. But yeah, no, thought we'd share the good news. Trust me to take such good news like that and turn it into a lecture on diamonds.
It's so funny that, isn't it? The way you're like so educational and factual about everything you remember. We were speaking to John's brother yesterday, Alan, and he got engaged
a few months ago,
maybe, yeah. And you were saying to Al, oh, Alan, did you learn all about this, and this, and this, and this? And I was like, don't think so. Just picked a ring that I liked.
Very different approaches, aren't they?
Yeah. But yeah, there we go. We are very, very happy.
Yeah, there we go. So follow us, no doubt.
Yeah, we won't be wasting any time wedding planning. I've got lots of ideas.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll turn it into an event, for the Speed Mooting universe. I'm joking.
No, sorry, there are something. Maybe we'll stream the church service. Who knows?
Who knows? I'm sure we'll get lots of well wishes online anyway. But
should we share the proposal story or keep that private?
I think keep that personal. I think there's some things you keep personal, Hayley.
Fine. Sorry, guys.
You're missing out. You're missing out. Who knows? Maybe we'll share it one day. But I think
it was very nice.
It was very nice. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Glad you liked it, Hayley.
We did good. We will say once the proposal was done, we went back to the place where we had our first ever date, didn't we?
That is true. That is true.
Booked it in advance, which was a very, very nice touch.
I'm gonna say.
What a guy.
Humble. There we go.
How'd you follow that?
How do you follow that? The criminal trial.
Okay.
So learning the law this week. Yeah. We talked about lots of different things in relation to crime, but I don't think we've ever really talked about the actual litigation process itself. So what we'll do is we'll start talking about that. So I think this week we'll discuss the process in the magistrates' court.
Yep.
And then next week we will discuss maybe process in the Crown Court.
Yeah, definitely. And for those who watched I can't remember what episode it was, but a few episodes ago we did the process of a civil trial, and we said we were going to break down those segments into a little bit more detail. That is still coming for anyone eagerly awaiting that. But
absolutely.
So we'll do the outlines of yours, and then we'll do in-depth, like one piece of each week.
Definitely. Sounds good.
So without further ado,
so, as it says on the tin, just like Ron Seal, it's all about a trial in the criminal courts. So, naturally, somebody has been charged with a criminal offence. So let's take something really, really simple. Let's say, I'm a bit of a motoring specialist. Let's say it's a drink drive case. Okay.
Yeah.
So, your individual gets arrested for drink driving. They go to the police station. They blow into the machine. They're over. They get charged there and then. So the police officer, upon release, the police sergeant will hand a charge sheet to that individual, and that individual is given a date to go to the magistrates' court, and that is for their first appearance. So when that person goes to court for their first appearance, the defendant in this case, obviously in this scenario we're talking about trials, so they're going to plead not guilty. So when they go to the court for the magistrates' court for the hearing, the prosecutor will sometimes give some information to the court about the case. Let's take it one step further back. Firstly, the person has to be identified in court.
Yep.
They will enter their plea, which is, of course, not guilty. The prosecutor may want to set out some information about the case, and the defence lawyer, whether that's a barrister or solicitor, will explain to the court exactly why it is that person is pleading not guilty. So they'll say, these are the issues for trial, these are the reasons that we're disputing the charges. This is the further evidence that we want to see from the prosecution, because the prosecution will normally just provide very limited information at the start of the case. They will explain to the court which prosecution witnesses they want to attend trial, and set out if the defence are going to be calling any witnesses at trial. And then what the court will do is the court will set directions. It's almost like a timetable between now and the trial itself. So the key direction that you will generally see in cases in the magistrates' court is that the prosecution needs to serve any further evidence it's going to rely upon and disclosure or unused schedule within 28 days. So the prosecution has 28 days, 4 weeks to provide all of that information. Okay. From there, well, it's not really a direction, it's within the criminal procedure rules, but if the defence are going to serve a defence statement, they get 14 days thereafter to serve their defence statement. And the court might set other directions as well. So if it's going to be a complicated case that involves expert evidence that can't be served within 4 weeks, they'll say, right, the prosecution should serve that by this date, the defence should serve its evidence by XYZ date. If the prosecution was going to make a bad character application or apply for special measures or whatever it might be, they'll then serve those applications after the date. Now, normally, you just have 2 hearings in a magistrates court case. You have your first appearance and you get your trial date, which is going to be however many months down the line, 2 months, 3 months, 10 months, whatever. Sometimes the court might say, well, do you know what, there's a lot of moving parts in this case. We want to make sure that we're all moving in the right direction and we're going to actually be ready for trial. So they might set another case management hearing in the middle, which is just another hearing for all parties to come together, the court just to check that everything's been served on time, there's no issues, there's no outstanding applications and things of that nature, and you work towards trial. So once your first appearance is over, it's then very much over to the solicitors running the case on either side to gather their evidence, so for the prosecution to go back to the police, gather any further evidence that they need so they can serve it in time, the defence to take any statements from people that they need to take statements from, and review the evidence. There might be some correspondence between the parties when they're chasing evidence or what have you. And then you'll work your way through, all the way through to the trial itself. And then, if, let's say, some evidence is outstanding, it's served late, you might want to bring the case back to court so you can have a bit of an argument in front of the judge about why evidence is late or outstanding, etc. But yeah, the process is relatively straightforward in the magistrates court. It's first appearance, enter your plea, tell the court why you're pleading not guilty, what the issues are, what evidence you need, what the directions are. Hopefully the directions are complied with. I say hopefully because quite often they're not. I won't say which particular side generally doesn't comply with their directions, but I'll leave it there.
Yes.
You can probably read between the lines and guess whom it is that generally doesn't comply. And this is the big difference between crime and civil. Directions generally don't mean much in crime. So let's say one party doesn't serve its evidence on time. If this was in the civil court, it would be, oof.
It would be disastrous. You'd instantly have to make an application for relief from sanctions. It would... Bad news. Worst thing you can possibly do is not follow directions.
If one party serves its evidence late in crime, it's... For those who are listening, that was me shrugging my shoulders and lifting my hands up. It kind of doesn't matter. It should matter, but it doesn't. That's the criminal process in the magistrates court for you.
There we go. So that was our learning the law. Moving on now to the commercial awareness corner. So this is where we talk about something that's happening in the wider world, something that's on the news, something that wannabe lawyers and junior lawyers usually should be aware of, something that you should be following, stuff that can affect a variety of different legal sectors. So this week we are talking about the base rate because it has recently gone down. Good news. Good news for some things, bad news for other things. Yeah. So do you want to give us a little overview of what the base rate is in case we have any complete novices?
The base rate is set by the Bank of England and that is the rate at which other banks, other financial institutions borrow money from the Bank of England. Okay? But it has wider implications because whenever the base rate changes, that will change sort of commercial rates. So, for example, those who have money in savings with the bank, if the Bank of England base rate goes up, well, the interest on their savings goes up. If the Bank of England base rate goes down, interest on savings goes down. Likewise, when you're borrowing money, if base rate goes up, if you've already got a loan, mortgage, etc., it's not going to change, but generally the rate at which banks loan money out will go up. So rates on mortgages.
Your mortgage rate is coming up for renewal.
Yeah.
Well, good news right now.
Well, it's good news right now if you've got a renewal coming up, because the rate's going down, so hopefully mortgage rates will go down. And likewise, that's the inverse of what I said before, isn't it? And the reason that the Bank of England changed its base rate is it's in effect to control inflation.
Yeah.
Because it's not just inflation, there's other aspects of it.
Yeah,
but let's say
one of the main things that controls inflation is the interest rate, isn't it?
Because if they want to slow down spending and therefore slow down the rate of inflation, they will increase the base rate.
Yeah.
But likewise, let's say the economy is not doing particularly well, people aren't spending enough money, then what they can do is they can reduce the base rate, make borrowing cheaper, make products cheaper, etc.
Yeah.
And that increases the flow of money in the economy, increases GDP, and therefore improves the economy that way. So the economy can be controlled through inflation. Where it potentially can cause problems, though, and this was a problem that the Bank of England had a couple of years ago, was it looked like the economy was a little unstable, so they needed to boost spending, but at the same time, costs were rising, during COVID and, all other things that were going on in the world. So you had inflation that needed to be controlled. So it's kind of, what do you do to the base rate when A, you need to get people spending money, but B, you need to control inflation. And it's,
tricky.
That's why I'm not an economist. This is just sort of, what I'm going over here, just things I remember from studying A-level business.
Absolutely.
And, obviously I've got a general interest in the markets and what's going on in the economy.
But this level that we're talking about now, this is how much we would expect other people to know.
Yeah.
So just the basics of what it means.
Yeah.
And then the knock-on effect that it can have on your clients or even your own business, your own law firm. It's just stuff to be aware of.
Oh yeah, because you need to know what's going on in the economy, and as you say, it's particularly important, particularly if you're going into these sort of firms that deal with commercial law, have commercial clients, what's going to happen to the economy, what's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Particularly, if you're in banking law,
of course.
I imagine it's massively important. I mean, I don't know that for certain, but I would suspect so.
No, it absolutely is. And if you're in any area of law that's affected by people borrowing, investing, etc., so that's real estate, that's banking, that's insolvency, that's, there's a myriad of things. And even, so me, when I worked in property litigation, the base rate was really important for us because we were dealing with contractual disputes, so landlord and tenant stuff, commercial leases, and you bet your bottom dollar they all had default interest clauses on them.
Yeah.
And that would be your arrears are charged interest 4% above the Bank of England base rate.
Yeah.
So when we're filing claims, when we're doing our particulars, you have to go through and calculate the base rate. It used to be so easy because it was just like, what was it, 0.5 or something?
Yeah, it was that rate forever, wasn't it?
Just like, I don't know, 10 years longer. Yeah. But then it's been going up and down now for a good few years. You have to go back and go, okay, so it was this much until this date, and then, okay, that much on this date. I mean, luckily, firms like the ones I worked for had very nice Excel spreadsheets that had all the little formulas and stuff in there for us, so it wasn't too bad.
I know, but it's interesting because I always remember, sort of in the lead up to 2008, because, we had massive boom in the mid-2000s, and obviously the property boom, housing just went crazy, and everyone was loving it, People would go, oh, my house is worth this much this week, and, loads of people started buying these rental properties, and people were buying properties abroad. I remember people go, oh, I've got a property here, got a property there, got a property. Because it was so much cheaper compared to the UK. What you spend, what you pay 100 grand for in the UK back in the mid 2000s, you go to certain countries and pick up for 10, 15 grand or something. And, that kind of came to a head when we had the massive crash 08, 09.
Yeah.
I remember because the economy was doing so well, we were at sort of 6% for some time. And very quickly, quarter after quarter after quarter, it came down to the point, as you say, that it was pretty much 0.5%, and it stayed there forever and a day.
I remember the first time it changed, and everyone was like, "Whoa, what?"
Yeah, it was just unheard of, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was crazy because interest rates, it's like mortgages were just so cheap. The number of people that are saying that they were on 1.5% mortgages, crazy. And funny enough, I've got a mate who said he fixed for 5 or 10 years because most people would fix for sort of 2 to 3 years or something.
Yeah.
And he said, well, look, it's 1.5%. It physically cannot get any cheaper. So why would a gamble go on anything other than a 10? Yeah, so very clever. He's very, very smug right now. So it's just important to know. So keep an eye out on that. Even if maths or what have you might not be your favourite subject, just keep an eye on it. It's massively important, particularly if you are thinking about something in the commercially linked arena. Yeah, keep an eye on what's going on.
If you went for a training contract interview or a chancery pupillage interview, etc., tomorrow, and they say what's something that's affecting the economy right now, you could say, the base rate change. Well, why? Because this, and this. Yeah. It's that simple. That's all commercial awareness is.
That's
you don't need to be an expert on everything.
Don't need to be an expert.
You just need to be aware of what's happening and understand it.
Yeah, but enough that, just read a couple of articles, just so you've got enough that you can have a conversation like that, because you're not going to be expected to have, an in-depth knowledge. If someone asked me for anything more in-depth than what I've talked about there, as I say, I'm not an economist, so, I couldn't give lectures on this stuff, but I've got enough of a rudimentary understanding that I know the importance of the base rate, how it's used to control the economy, and why it's important. It's like I was chatting to someone on one of our podcasts, actually. I don't know whether it's been released or not yet. What he said is it's important to be the T-shaped professional. And he says what he means by that is, so he specialises in it's very bespoke, actually. It's some sort of it's telecommunications and things of that nature. IP, but so it's a very niche area of commercial law. So he says you need to be the T-shaped professional. So he's got a very good understanding of so many different facets of what the firm does, and then down the middle is his specialism where he knows so much about it. Yeah. So within his, so he might have a client who's got different needs, and he said, "Oh, right, yeah, you'll need to go and see this lawyer within the firm, and I know a bit about that. Here's some general advice on it, but go and see this guy. I'll give you more advice." So he knows a bit about so many different things that he can help them to an extent and kind of shape his advice in that regard, but has his very unique understanding right down the middle of his thing. So the T-shaped professional, yeah.
So there we go. That was our commercial awareness corner. Hope that gave you all a little bit of food for thought. That is a tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister, isn't it? Food for thought.
Food for thought. It's quite easy now, actually. Yeah. Just got stuck on it that once. Okay. Moving on. Shall we do Ask Speed Squad?
Let's do Ask Speed Squad.
Okay, so this is kind of our first episode because last week we were off camera. John wasn't feeling great.
Yeah.
We had to shorten the episode. We've been so busy, so this is the first time we're getting through a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So for that reason, I'm just going to stick with one question this week.
All right.
And it is, I can't remember if this came to my LinkedIn or yours, but regardless, we can both answer it. How did you choose your area of law?
Interesting.
Yeah. So this came from, I don't know if it was an A-level student or an undergraduate, but someone very junior that must just be, as we probably both were at some point,
unsure,
stuck on where to go because there's so many different areas.
Do you want to go first, Hayley?
Sure, I can go first.
Yeah, let you go first.
So, as I mentioned about 5 minutes ago, when I was in private practice, I was a property litigator. So how did I end up there? Well, it was kind of circumstantial that I ended up there. So I was a paralegal in mortgage repossession, civil litigation for a long time before I started my training contract. So I asked for a seat in civil litigation. Thought that was where I'd want to qualify. Didn't love it as much as I thought I would. There was aspects of it I really enjoyed. Some aspects I didn't enjoy so much. And we've gone into that in depth in the previous episode, so I won't say any more than that for now. And then I also did a seat in real estate, which I thought I was going to hate because I didn't like land law, I didn't like equity and trust. I was really good at them, got really good grades in them, but I didn't think it was where I saw myself practicing. But then I loved transactional real estate, which was just, it was crazy, but just in practice, I just really enjoyed it. I really like the complexity of property and property law. There's so many property acts. There's a lot of law in property, even on the transactional side.
I can imagine. I'm not shocked at all.
Yeah, but I knew I wasn't a transactional lawyer. Yeah. I needed the the pressure and the excitement and the fight, the battle, you know.
Yeah.
It's exciting to win and lose and all of that jazz. So I was trying to find a way to bring the two together.
Mm-hmm.
And my firm had a real estate disputes department, which was property litigation, but not in my office.
Right.
So at first I was told you can't do a seat there.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not going to take that. So I was nagging. There was one associate in the Manchester office who was real estate disputes, so I was nagging him all the time. Ben, can I help you? Ben, what are you doing today? Ben. And then we went to a Christmas do, but it was just like for the real estate team, including the disputes team. And I found the real estate disputes partner and tugged on his ear after we'd all had a couple of wines. Please, I want to try and seat here. And lo and behold, they made a seat for me. So I did real estate disputes, and after 2 months I knew that's where I needed to qualify, and it all fit together really, really well. The team loved me, I loved the team, and after 2 months they told me I was going to qualify. Told me right before Christmas.
That's amazing.
It was the best, yeah, it was amazing. So that's how I ended up in property litigation, kind of accidentally, I suppose.
Similar story. Mine was a little bit circumstantial and accidental as well. So, you know, coming back to what you were saying, it sounds like somebody who's quite early in their journey, maybe A-level law students, etc. And if you don't know, it doesn't matter, because when I was at uni, I kept changing my mind all the time. So when I applied for law school, I knew I wanted to be a barrister. And, you know, I was one of these where you just think law is crime. You know, I didn't really think much beyond that. So I always thought, yeah, I'll be a criminal barrister. And that was kind of the plan initially, not because, you know, there was any particular... Well, I suppose it was. I did find, you know, crime interesting, because everyone does. You know, you watch all the shows and all the rest of it. But it's kind of because I thought, you know, that's what law is, etc. So you go in, you start studying different things, you start speaking to different people, you look at the different law firms, etc. And at times I would change. So I go, I'm quite interested in commercial, fancy that. And then I did a mooting on equity or land law, and I thought, I'll be a good chancery barrister. So, you know, kind of chopped and changed, etc. And applied for my bar course when I got to third year, you know, did the bar course thereafter. And I think whilst I was on the bar course, I was kind of and ahhing between the two, you know, still had a bit of a liking for chancery, kind of like crime, and I was kind of, I don't know which way I want to go with this. So got to the end of the bar course and didn't get pupillage, as you can imagine. So I then needed a job, because you've got to start paying your bar course off within 30 days. So I saw this one firm advertising in the paper. I was like, yeah, let's go in, let's get that job. And lo and behold, it was a job in personal injury. So I was doing kind of run-of-the-mill road traffic accidents, just processing the claims, basically. And lasted 2 months before I got sacked from that job. I'll say it wasn't me, because, you know, turns out I think I'm a dab hand at this law stuff. You know, I'm all right, but, you know, it didn't work out, whatever. I won't name who the firm are, to be fair to them, but if you're in Liverpool, you probably know who they are.
They have a bit of a reputation.
Yeah, if you're getting sacked after 2 months, you'll know exactly who this firm is, but I digress. Anyway, so I managed to move on and got another firm working as a paralegal in personal injury. And I was working on the largest group litigation action in the country for a bit. And then I moved on and I started managing my own caseload of employers' liability and public liability cases. So that was quite interesting work, actually. And it meant I got to do a lot of the, you know, drafting of particulars of claim and pleadings, applications, etc., doing a little bit of advocacy. I was building up quite a bit of experience in that area. So I thought I'll probably end up maybe getting a PI pupillage. But taking one step back, the reason I stuck with PI was because I thought, well, it's quite good because, you know, you're dealing with lay members of the public, you're dealing with a broad spectrum of members of the public, because anyone can be involved in an accident, regardless of whether you're a multi-millionaire business owner or whether you're, you know, anyone else. You know, it doesn't really matter. So you're dealing with absolutely everyone. So it's a good way of dealing with people. The cases are very fact heavy. So where you're talking about your area of law is very law heavy. This is very fact heavy by comparison. So what that was setting me up for quite nicely was, if I got a common law pupillage, which covers a little bit of family, a little bit of civil, a little bit of crime, you've got that kind of background in PI is very transferable to each of those different areas. So that's why I thought I'd stick with that. And then when I eventually decided to cross over and become a solicitor, I'd done my LPC and I needed a training contract. There was an advert for a small criminal firm that advertised for a training contract. So I was like, let's put my application in there. Got the training contract. The rest is history. So it was by chance that I ended up in crime. That was always the plan all along. But I kind of had this sort of dip point where, not a dip in the sense of, wasn't happy, but dip in the sense I came away and thought, I'm going to end up in a completely different area of law, and then rebounded and sprang back. So
I think that's quite common with a lot of people, isn't it, as well, when they find the specialism, like it's circumstantial and they find themselves, they get a job somewhere, they really like it, or like maybe do a seat that they don't think they're going to like and it turns out they love it. And people you have to keep an open mind in this industry because you don't know when you're going to find the specialism that's meant for you.
Precisely.
And if you go into it thinking, right, I'm going to do crime, that's all I want to do, you don't know what opportunities you're missing out on.
No, not at all. So yeah, that's the point, isn't it? Keep an open mind because you just never know. So take all experiences, and particularly when you're at that stage, try and do minis or work experiences or what have you in a few different areas.
Yeah.
And the example, I've probably spoken about this maybe 5 times on the podcast, but I'll mention it again just in case somebody's never heard it. There was a particular subject I enjoyed. Got a first in this particular subject and thought, do you know what? So I wrote to a firm and I'll mention what it is, it doesn't matter, it's not offensive. So it was intellectual property. So I got a first class in IP and thought, do you know what? I think I'll make a good IP lawyer. I think I really enjoy it. It's really interesting. So there was a firm a firm of patent attorneys in Liverpool. So I wrote to them and said, can I have a few days? One of the partners picked up my email and said, John, yeah, absolutely, come along, come and shadow me. They were brilliant, rolled out the red carpet for me. It was a fantastic experience. But what I learned from that was the practice of IP law was very, very different to what I'd come to expect from studying it. And I just don't think I would have been well suited to that area of law. So that was the most worthwhile couple of days I'd ever spent because it made me realise, do you know what? This isn't for me. Yeah. Whereas had I have not done that, I might have had that stuck in my head, started applying to all these chambers for pupilages and intellectual property, and I would have been going down the wrong path. So you can learn so much just from doing experiences and thinking, do you know what, I enjoyed studying this, but in practice, it isn't quite for me.
I had a similar experience actually, because I thought I was really going to like family law, and I could see myself being a family lawyer, helping people, supporting families, and I just remember I chose it. Was it the second year when we had options? I can't remember, but I chose family law. I also chose like company law because I was like, exploring what I liked. So I didn't know they were like polar opposite. Topics. So I thought, let's see which one I like. And then I didn't like family law so much studying it, but I was still like, but I could really like the idea of being a family lawyer. And then I did a week's work experience with Warrington City Council with their family team. And after that week, I was like, okay, accept it. You're not going to be a family lawyer. Like, this isn't for you. It was, it was care proceedings and welfare issues, and no. I realised then that I get too emotionally invested in stuff like that. Like, I'd take it home with me. My personality just wouldn't be suited to it. I wouldn't be able to cope with it very well. And that's what led me to the more business side of things, which is what I enjoyed. And what suited me better.
Yeah, I think so. And likewise, I could never see myself doing family law. And a lot of people who do crime, either have a mixed practice of crime and family, or end up going, do you know what, I'll switch from crime into family. But same reason, I just couldn't see it. The cases are really quite sad actually, and I think that the stakes are very high in crime as well. But I think the stakes are quite high, and particularly when you've potentially got children who are being taken away, going into care, or even on the private side, when you've got people arguing over, can I have an extra couple of hours on a Saturday or something? Even that's really quite sad actually.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't be, and it definitely wouldn't be suited to my personality.
No. Yeah. But people do it, and people absolutely love it. And I thought I was going to be one of them, but coming back to our question, bring this back to the whole point is, get as much experience as you can. You might not like things that you thought you were going to love, and you might love stuff that you thought you were going to hate.
Well, exactly.
So just get involved and take every opportunity.
Yeah, precisely.
let's talk about events coming up.
Oh,
and then
yes.
we will round this off.
Yes.
So we've got 2 advocacy clubs coming up.
We certainly have.
So it's the 19th of November.
Mm-hmm.
And that means we have an advocacy club tonight.
We certainly do.
Public speaking tonight.
Public speaking.
So everyone gets to come along and do a speech on any topic that they like.
Yeah.
Or they can just observe. Someone messaged us today saying, I'm really nervous, can I observe?
Oh, of course they can.
And we tell people every time, we don't care. You observe every time, doesn't matter.
Fine.
You get out what you put in. So if you get a lot out of just listening to people, and I do as well sometimes. I come to Speakers Club and just listen to people sometimes. You get a lot out of it, you do. And then eventually, you'll have a go. So anyone is always welcome to observe.
Of course you are.
So that's tonight. Next week is Legal Advocacy Club.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little thing called speed mooting next week.
That's the one. It's kind of back to our roots, isn't it?
Back to our roots, yeah.
So, speed mooting. It's always a fun one. We supply absolutely everything for you. Pre-drafted skeleton arguments, all the case law, all the legislation. So you don't need to do any research. You don't need to do any drafting. Just pick up the papers, prepare your arguments, come along and have some fun in a moot.
Yeah. And then listen to criminal barrister John Dove give some general feedback on advocacy.
Exactly. And, we're talking about something in the future, but by the time people are listening to this, it's going to be from the past. So get your head around that. Get your head around that one. So it's Tuesday right now. Tomorrow evening, which is 2 days ago if you're listening to this podcast, because you're listening to this on Friday. But right now, when we're recording, it's Tuesday. Back to the Future type stuff, this, isn't it?
Yep.
Anyway,
where you're going with it, yeah.
So Wednesday the 20th, I'll speak about this in the past tense, even though it hasn't happened yet. But when you're listening to it, it's in the past. So
it's only me and John that'll be confused right now. It'll make sense to everyone if you speak about it like it's in the past.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah. So on Wednesday the 20th at 8 p.m, we sent an email to our mailing list launching our latest event. And this is an event like nothing we've done before, because we're calling it our Pupillage Event. Yeah. And it's a 2-part event. Night 1 is a pupillage mentoring evening.
Mentoring with a speed mooting twist. So it's completely online on Zoom, and we've got a panel of barristers who are each going to be seated in breakout rooms on Zoom. And those that are lucky enough to get places, and it's a completely free event, and we're doing it on a first come first served basis, so whoever signs up first, etc. They get to spend 15 minutes with a barrister and get a direct one-on-one mentoring session. So lucky people.
Yeah, it's something we've never done before. It's something that nobody's ever done before. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, I think it's going to be a good event.
Me too.
When you're listening to this, there might be places left, but I highly doubt it, because we sent the email at 8 o'clock on the Wednesday. If there are any places remaining by the Thursday morning, I'd be shocked. But you never know.
Yeah, you never know. And it's still worth signing up and putting your name down for the mentoring event, because we will have a reserve list.
Yeah, we will. So if anyone does drop out, we will be sort of rolling the places over to our reserve list. And once again, it's just, however high you up are on the reserve list, etc. So that's going to be a really good event. And hopefully, if you're listening, hopefully you got a place on that event.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're listening and you're in practice, so you're a practicing barrister, and you want to get involved, then please do, because the more mentors we have, then the more mentees we can invite. So registration for mentors is still open.
Yeah. So that's the point, isn't it?
Yes.
So every time we get a new mentor, we can open it up to more places. So if you're listening and you want to take part as a barrister, please jump on. Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to take up 2 hours of
2 hours of your time. Yeah. And just think, your words could help somebody immensely. Yeah. So please
get in touch with us.
Please do.
info@speedmooting.com.
Yeah. That's night 1. Part 2, following day, we've a Q&A session all about pupillage.
Yeah, we've got a super panel of barristers.
10 barristers on this panel, and they're there to answer your questions. So it's about a 1 hour session. You can submit your questions in advance, or you can ask questions ad hoc on the night.
If we have time for that.
I would say
submit your questions in advance is the safest way to get them answered.
Definitely. And it's always a good event, that one. So, come along. You can get your questions answered. And it's all in the name of, well, Pupillage Gateway is open during January. Let's give you, let's try and give you a leg up. Let's try and help you submit the best applications that you can.
Yeah. And, it's the Q&A is going to be great, and that's unlimited. So if you don't get a place on the mentoring night, you can still come along
absolutely.
to the Q&A. But yeah, can't stress enough. If when you listen to this, there are places available, get yourself signed up for the mentoring night, because it's so going to be so valuable. You either get advice that's tailored to you completely. So yeah, we're really, really excited about it. We came up with this idea in Wetherspoons, didn't we?
We certainly did.
All the best ideas.
All the best ideas come from Wetherspoons. This one particular Wetherspoons as well.
Yep.
So
Chill all 5 ways.
Chill all 5 ways. Yeah. Chill all 5 ways.
So yeah, that's our pupillage event coming up.
Yeah. So if you want to sign up, it's speedmooting.com/pupillage-event.
Yes. It will be all over our social medias as well by this point, so you'll be able to find it, no problem.
Yeah.
And then one last thing to mention, I think.
Shall I flick a light on?
Yeah, go on. One last thing to mention, I think. If anybody is going to London on Saturday.
Oh, yes.
To the Target Jobs National Pupillage Fair, we will see you there.
We certainly will.
Speed Mooting are exhibiting, so we'll be there all day chatting to you. And there might be an opportunity to witness a criminal barrister in action, John.
There certainly might. I might be there doing an advocacy exhibition. I tell you what, I am so excited for that.
It's going to be boss, isn't it?
So excited. As I say, I used to go to these events back in the day, watching the different barristers there. So for me to go out there and give a talk, and particularly at the Target Jobs National Pupillage Fair, it's going to be so exciting.
Yeah.
So hopefully I see as many of you there as possible. I think you were saying to me the other day that they had 1,500 people signed up for this event.
Yeah, they sent an update out saying that so many have pre-registered. So
wow, so that's really good. So yeah, can't wait to see you there.
I don't know if we've got enough goodies.
I don't know. I mean, we to put it in context, we've hired what is going to be? It's on the website. It says Nissan X-Trail or equivalent, so it's a big SUV thing.
Yeah.
Just to get us down there with all our goodies, because there was no way we were getting the 4 of us in a car with all the boxes and all the rest of it. So we've hired a massive car to go down there. So should be interesting. I think we'll get all the stuff in that car.
I think we'll be fine. But with that many people,
yeah,
it's going to be first come first served.
It literally is. So we've got
Get there early.
Yeah, we've got some good ones. So make sure you're there, nice and handy.
Can we just appreciate my ring in the light as well? Because it looks beautiful in the light.
Glistening, isn't it? That's because of the superior cut, you see, Hayley,
right,
and the whiter colour of the actual ring allows. Look at the, hold it up again. You've got the greens. You can see the blue shining through. Look at all that.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm obsessed with it.
But yeah, no, I think that brings us to the end of an episode, Hayley, because we've been talking for some time, haven't we?
Yep.
And I've certainly enjoyed recording the episode. Have you?
I certainly have.
Well, you'll be pleased to know, people, that normal services resume next week, because it will be named after a Formula 1 driver again.
Oh, people guess in advance. See if you can guess.
I'll let you guess. I would suspect, unless you're a really, really hardcore fan, I don't think you're going to get this one.
I've set everyone a challenge.
I've set everyone a challenge. So I know who the guy is, because obviously I know pretty much every F1 driver that's been in it for the past 30 odd years since I've been watching it. Well, I've been watching it 30 odd years, I suppose so. Mm-hmm. But I had to Google it, and then the number came up. I was like, oh, I remember him. So, if you get it right, comment below, and kudos to you. But we need a comment for this week's episode if you're listening this long, because, if you're still listening this far into our episode, you're an OG listener, I think.
It's got to be engaged.
Engaged?
It's got to be.
Okay, or diamond.
Ooh, diamond. Yeah, let's do diamond.
Diamond, okay.
Or it can be, the diamond ring emoji.
Diamond ring emoji, yeah.
We'll know you listened right to the end.
Or we could have Del Boy saying, diamond geezer.
No.
No, just diamond. So yeah, if you're listening this far in, let us know. Comment below, either diamond or give us a diamond ring emoji. So that definitely does bring us to the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.